February 24th, 2002. It's a date I'll remember for the rest of my life. To be on the ice when Canada's men won their first Olympic gold in 50 years is a bond I share with 23 of the greatest players to ever represent their country. Canada's men and women's hockey teams brought pride and glory to our country's national sport.
To be a member of that team was the greatest honor I've ever had. Returning home to Canada with the gold medal is a moment I'll never forget. I knew what our teams had accomplished, but to see my country's reaction was incredible.
Everything in Salt Lake happened so fast, yet it's something I'll always cherish. Years from now, I'll look back and fondly remember the friends I made and the experiences I had.
Jerome and I welcome the opportunity to bring to you this special 4-part DVD series, Reflections of Gold.
This is our chance to share with you our memories of Canada's hockey triumphs.
Millions of Canadians put their lives on hold while they watched our hockey teams go for Olympic glory. The gold medal isn't just for us. It's for women's hockey players all over Canada. That final game generated more attention than ever before. While recognition in our sport is important, giving young girls a dream is something I'll always be proud of.
When we stepped on the ice to face the Americans in our final game, we could hear the Canadian fans chanting. At the time, it was hard to imagine over 10 million Canadians were doing the same back home as they gathered around their televisions. And as the clock ticked down, our team, as well as Canadians coast to coast, went crazy. It was over, the 50-year drought had ended, and hockey belonged to Canada.
The dream was realized. The elation on the faces of both the men and women were mixed with a genuine feeling of pride and vindication. They had done it. They had brought back the gold medal to Canada.
We needed something to inspire us in our hockey. We needed something that we could gravitate to, and we hadn't had it probably since '87. Although as good as '87 was, it's nothing compared to '72. So most of our generation relates to 1972. We needed this. It was almost like in '98 we were playing so well that the whole country expected us to win, and we got beat. All of a sudden we just, bang, we're done in one game. And then all of a sudden this whole hockey world woke up and said, Canada hasn't won since 1952. So there was 10 times more pressure on this team in '02 than it was in '98. Nobody talked about '98 because everyone expected us to win the gold medal. So when we lost, this team got all the pressure. So we needed this for the good of our game in this country. And we needed something to rally around because we haven't had it since 1972. And I think that team gave this country lasting memories, and you can't replace that.
When you play hockey and you live in Canada, people expect gold medals and Stanley Cups. And for us, the Olympics is our Stanley Cup, and people expected, I think, nothing less than a gold medal. And I was happy, but I was relieved. I was happy that we had done it and it was over, and it was just a special accomplishment, I think.
For us, it was like we grew up with women's hockey, and for us, it was just to bring women's hockey, Team Canada, to the top, actually. And happiness and growth probably happen as you climb this big mountain, which was the Olympics. But I felt, my players, if I could call them that way, probably gave me the closest feeling of being a parent, and that was that night. After the game, I was watching them, and for once, I think, in my life, I felt what a parent could feel. And it was so much pride that I was like, I had tears in my eyes because they were beautiful to watch. And I mean, they became a model for this country for a generation to come. And I believe that they don't realize that. Most of those players actually, because they're younger, they will probably realize the impact of their performance in years.
To do it for the country that loves the great game of hockey as much as we do, and I'm getting shivers right now just thinking about it. It was just an amazing moment.
When I was a little kid playing on the streets, to playing minor hockey in Banff, to moving on to Moose Jaw and playing my junior there, being drafted by a Canadian team, playing with Edmonton, to winning the gold medal is something you'll cherish forever. And I'm proud to play in Canada, and that means so much to the sport. Canadian hockey is where it's all started, and to be a part of it is such a great honor.
When a team goes through war together, a special bond is formed. The people in those 2 locker rooms were the only ones who truly knew how tough the battle was. The emotion felt within those 4 walls was unlike anything these Canadians had ever felt before.
That was, one of the most enjoyable times, and something I'll remember my whole career, because, you win the Stanley Cup, and we just experienced that. And you go in your locker room, and it's jammed in there. Players and their family, and media, and friends, and a couple hundred other people who I don't know what they're in there, and it's so crowded. You really, you talk there, you don't get the chance to spend any time with the players, whereas at the Olympics there was, I think, maybe only 1 camera in there, and media was kind of kept out of the room, and nobody was allowed in there. So for about 2 hours it was just the players, coaches, just the team, the staff in there, and trainers, and we were able to just sit in there and kind of have a little party of our own, and kind of a lot of tension was obviously eased at that point, so we could really relax and just have some fun and joke about it. It was a great couple of hours in there, and maybe the best part about or after winning is being in that room with the guys, and just there's so much happiness, and it was tremendous.
I think, well, first of all, in the locker room, our theme song was, we listened to it quite often during the Olympics and before the World's Greatest, and so we could finally play it. We always played it and listened to it and sang along a little, but it's like we were singing it now because we were the world's greatest. But our coach, basically what she told us was that, we can do anything. Don't let anybody tell you that you can't do something, because this year was a great example of it. We went into the Olympics as the underdogs, and there wasn't many people or many, papers on TV. The U.S. is faster, stronger. Canada's going to need to, pray to win this game, basically. And, with everything against us, we came through, and we believed in ourselves, we believed in each other, and we took it upon ourselves. We didn't have any excuses, and we didn't, have any regrets of what we did, and we went out and did what we had to do to win the gold medal.
For me, that time in the dressing room after the game, I don't think anything even matches that. I don't think you're ever going to get close to that. You know what it's like, you come in, you got your guards up, there's teams that I've coached, players I've coached against. I mean, I came and I had gotten fired, and then I had to go and look 2 players who were playing with me in the eye, and then all of a sudden you win and the air goes out of the bag and everybody's just friends, and it's terrific. You couldn't get a better situation. I'm not sure how much footage people have of that, but it's just absolutely priceless. That hour 15 in that locker room was just priceless.
Well, it was pretty emotional. I mean, maybe it was because we're women or something, but there was a lot of tears shed and a lot of hugs and a lot of pictures being taken, and of course some champagne bottles being opened, and then of course the Molson sponsorship that we found out about in the dressing room, that definitely helped. And it was just, once again, we're trying to remember it and just sharing it with our friends that we had spent the last 7, 8 months of our lives with.
It was kind of subdued at first. I think it was nobody could really believe just what went through it, and we knew that we'd grown together very, very quickly, and established some very close, possible, relationships. But it was amazing how many just sort of initially just sort of sat and looked around and what do we do now? And I remember Hitch cranking up the music, and all of a sudden, I guess we've got it done now, we can move on, and it was tremendous. But as it moved through, it became very, very subdued as well towards the end of the celebration, about an hour and a half, 2 hours later. And players just ended up just sort of sitting in small groups on the bench and sort of looking at each other and looking around the room and saying, hey, pretty soon we got to walk out of the room and probably won't walk this way again. And I think that, became a little, not so refreshing, but to show that everybody was there for all the right reasons of getting something done that was very, very special to them. And it was also was very interesting to watch them walk around the room. We had the previous Olympic champion team pictures, in our dressing room, and almost to the man, everybody made a point of going around and taking a look. And I think feeling very proud that they sort of gave something back to those fellows that went before us as well.
How's it feel to be Canadian? It feels unbelievable. I'll tell you, that crowd was awesome, and one of the best feelings.
Saved his best game for the last. See him out there in the final.
Canada! 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 Canada!
After an emotional locker room celebration, our teams left the arena for the final time to go and share the moment with their friends and families.
From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
It was the first time we were able to see our family after the game was when we got over to the Hale Centre, so that was pretty emotional to actually be able to see them and talk to them and give them a big hug and have them actually touch and hold the gold medal that, it's just as much my parents and my brother and my cousin that were there. It's just as much theirs as it is mine, and so that was a really exciting moment too.
It's family and friends that mean so much to everybody around here, and Canadians are so close that we're all one, and people that were cheering for us, they were a part of us, and that's how the players thought. And to see my family and friends at that function after was great. I mean, it was showing off my medal to them was something else, and just hugging, and you're so happy. You're in tears. You're trying to take everything in. I mean, you didn't want it to end. You didn't want that day to end, whether it was in the dressing room or with your family and friends. You just didn't want it to end.
I think that the best moment was for the player and ourselves is to celebrate with the family, and I think this is also what it's all about. And having our family on site to be able to share that moment with us, because it's hard for people to understand what is the Olympics, and the fact that they were there with us was just great. And I mean, we were just going around and on a cloud still, and having those people and meeting all the friends and family of the players was probably the greatest moment of all.
It was special, just to be able to walk through people and see my wife, see my 3 little boys, my dad. It was pretty. It was something, I mean. In Dallas, when we won, my family went right on the ice. I brought the cup to them, so they were so anxious to see my medal. My kids took my medal, put them under their neck, and it was cool. It's just like something, again, you don't forget. These are experiences that will stay with you all your life, and that's what we kept telling ourselves throughout the tournament. It's like we have a chance to do something that it's going to stay, it's going to stay for the rest of our lives, and we were able to make it.
All good things must come to an end. On February 25th, 2002, our champions flew home and began life after Salt Lake. For some, it was a second chance to celebrate. For others, they would have to be content with the memories.
I went back to the States and had no access to any Canadian broadcast, so you can only imagine what it was like. You try and picture a city winning a Stanley Cup and the fans going crazy, and then you kind of spread it throughout the entire country. But I was immediately in contact with a lot of family members back in Canada, and they were certainly letting me know what was going on back there and how excited and proud everybody was. So, to do something like that for ourselves is great, but do something like that for your country and for the Canadian hockey and for your sport is something that's very special.
I used to play boys hockey in the Moose Mountain League in the southeast corner of Saskatchewan, so I've played against a lot of boys growing up and played with, and they all just have words of congratulations and, do you remember when you played against me, and we remember that time you hit me in the corner, and things like that I'm hearing from them. So it's really nice to know that they still remember, and that I had that support growing up too, because there was no women's hockey to play at the time.
We were excited to get back. We had a game first in Colorado 2 days later, so it was amazing how high we were, and then we were all the players, I'm sure, were so excited still playing our first games after the Olympics. But after the Colorado game, we came back to Calgary and had a game against St. Louis, and I remember they had an on-ice ceremony for us, and Pronger and McInnes, who were on St. Louis, and it was just something that it was just the fans giving us an ovation, and knowing, walking around town, and they'd comment on the tournament, the game, the series, different plays. It was a great experience.
Cassie Campbell here, Cheryl Pounder, Sammy Jim Small, and Haley.
The media tours that we've done since the Olympics, the more publicity we can bring to our sport, the more opportunities that will come out of it for young girls to have a choice to play the game of hockey. And that's why we do it. And every single girl that has played on the national team at one time or another really dedicates her life to the game and does as much as she can off the ice. And on the ice, that comes with the territory. You gotta train, you gotta skate hard, but off the ice, there's so many things that these girls do that have played in the national team that have really promoted the sport. And it's not just the Olympic team. It's former players who played in 1990, and that's kind of a tradition that we have with the national team, is that if you play there, you better make sure that you give back to the community. And that's really has been the best part of my whole hockey career, is what I've been able to kind of accomplish as far as, being a role model to young girls, or at least being part of giving young girls a choice to play.
I'm fortunate I come back to a Canadian team, not like a lot of other Canadian players. They play in the U.S., and it's something else, man. I was quite shocked. I don't know how they found out I was coming back that early, and I was back before Brewer and our management and our training staff was on the flight behind me. And it was a huge welcome, not only media, but the whole bottom of the international airport here in Edmonton was full of people. And like I said, a lot of the Canadian players that play in the U.S. don't get that.
Goaltender from Châteauguay, Quebec, Kim St. Pierre.
Perhaps the best celebration for our Golden Girls came on June 17, 2002. Our women's team was honored at a ceremony outside the Hockey Hall of Fame. Hundreds of Canadians showed up to express their appreciation and gratitude.
Now this journey is not over. I believe that on February 21st, it was just the beginning of a new journey.
Being at the Hockey Hall of Fame, it's such a part of hockey history, and now for us, we are hockey history, being the first women's Olympic team to win a gold medal. And it's right now, it kind of doesn't completely sink in, but it's down the road, when I have a family and I have grandchildren, and you're kind of like, yeah, I did that, and the stories that we can tell and share with people, it's gonna sink in more later in life.
Later that same evening, in front of friends and family, the team received commemorative rings, given to them in honor of their dedication and perseverance at the Olympic Games. A thank you from the rest of Canada for living out the dream.
It's pretty cool to get the ring, but I think the ring is more symbolic of the memories that were created. Every time I look at it, I'll know what it represented and sort of the journey that it took to get to this place. And tonight was pretty special. I mean, to see my teammates up on TV talking about sort of the journey along the way, and just it brought back so many memories. So that was pretty neat.
So many great hockey players have been here, and now there's a women's hockey section, so it's great that everything is happening here today. A lot of people came to see us, and it was a great thing on TSN, so we're really happy about the whole thing.
There is no greater feeling in the world than bringing glory to your country. Our teams won more than a medal in Salt Lake. They gave us memories to last a lifetime. Hockey lives again in Canada. And the men and women that made that happen at the 2002 Olympics will forever be the pride of a nation.
As a team, you know, as a country, what we did for hockey, I mean, definitely the matchup was perfect. You know, I mean, playing against the Americans in America definitely, I think, raised a lot of people's attention everywhere around the world. And definitely, you know, when you've been told all your life, well, hockey players are Canadian, you know, the best hockey players are Canadian. But when you don't prove it for so long, it makes it hard for people to really believe it. You know, at one point, people are taking the sport, it's a new sport for them. Even in Canada, now, we'll get people to play the sport because of what we accomplish in the Olympics.
You know, we just play the game because we love playing hockey. And I hope that, you know, kids who are at home watching that game, you know, at whatever age, just see that we're doing something that we love, and that, you know, if there's a 10-year-old girl who's you know, sees us playing hockey, you know, they decide they want to play hockey too. That's great. Or maybe they want to play basketball, or they want to play, you know, whatever sport. But I think it's just, I just hope that they can gain some, you know, some confidence and some, you know, some self-esteem from, you know, watching us as role models, you know. And you know, as far as hockey, you know, female hockey goes, you know, in Canada, you know, we've definitely set a new standard in Canada, and we've set a new standard, you know, in the world. And it's really incredible to see all the girls that are playing hockey now. And I think so many people really, I think, got a really great taste of what female hockey is really like. You know, the finesse. There isn't a lot of contact. You know, play moves a lot quicker, just in terms of the whistles and stuff. And I mean, I think we really gained a lot of respect within, you know, Canada, and I think all over the world.
When you have the Mario Lemieux, the Steve Yzermans, and the Haley Wickenheisers playing the game and having so much exposure, kids want to be like them. Kids want to play on the streets and in the rinks because they want to be these players. Their dreams are there. They could almost touch those dreams in the Olympics. And when kids have dreams, they want to participate in them. And it's going to be great for hockey in this country. We're going to see more kids play. I think we're going to see more NHL players wanting to contribute back, and we're going to see the women's continue to do it. So I think from all sides of it, it's just going to be a huge step in the next few years.
I know when I was growing up, you know, especially after the 87 Canada Cup Ameriscore, I know, you know, a ton of kids that they want to be in a moment like that. You know, hockey was at the forefront of their thoughts and in their dreams. And you know, hopefully the Joe Sakic goal or the Jerome McGinley goal now puts that on the forefront of the kids of today's minds, where their dreams are to now, you know, get back into hockey, want to play and be the next one in that moment.
I think it was more the realization of how many people actually watch the women's game. Like, we knew we had support, and until we came home, that's when we realized, like, almost everyone that that you run into at least saw part of the game, or was like, you know, that was great, congratulations. And it's something that's so much in the spotlight. The Olympics are the greatest thing that happens, you know, every 2 years between the Summer and Winter Olympics. And you know, I don't think my life has changed tremendously. I've just been, you know, really busy working with kids and talking to schools and things like that. But all in all, it's been a great experience, and I love doing what we're doing. And the fact that we have this opportunity to do it, it's just amazing. And it's, you know, it's part of my life now, so it doesn't seem like it's changed or anything, but it's just, it's been a good time.
Won't tell anybody.
There's a renewed confidence in the program. There's a renewed confidence that we can have a plan and we can be very competitive. We have tremendous depth in our programs, and we have a lot of good things. And all of a sudden, the attitude is, hey, we've got a lot of good things going on here, not what's wrong, but what's right. And that's, to me, the biggest factor, is that the talk is now what's right, rather than always, for a long time, it's been like, what's wrong? Well, I think we proved to a lot of people that there's a lot more right than there is wrong.
You know, now girls have that dream. Well, I want to be in the Olympics. I want to be on the national team, and you know, and maybe they can aspire to that. Maybe they won't, but they at least have the opportunity to play the game, and that's something that I think is very important, that we continue to develop the grassroots, because that's, you know, ultimately where our future players lie.
I'm thrilled that the team was able to win the gold medal, and it's just, you know, going back in the summer now, I talk to people all over, and the first thing they say is, hey, you know, well, right now, congratulations on winning the Stanley Cup, but thanks for winning that gold medal. You know, we needed that. It was really important, and really just giving everyone a sense of pride. And you know, hockey's been a sport that we've obviously been successful at for a long time, but now to win this, it, you know, really makes people feel, you know, proud that Canada could win a, you know, on a world stage, win an event like that. It really made everybody feel pretty good, and thrilled to be a part of it.
I think I've noticed even how proud it's made Canadians, regardless of if they play hockey or not, but everybody has a story about our game and about the men's game, and where they were and who they were with, and how their family watched the game and cried together. Or, you know, it had such an incredible impact on so many people, and I think, you know, it's great to see our country so proud about being Canadian. And for women's hockey, it's huge. I mean, 7 million viewers watching our game, and you know, we hear all the time, you know, my daughter wants to play hockey now, and that's great. That's great for our sport, and we're definitely proud that we can have such a positive effect on people.
Being a Canadian and putting the jersey on is always a great deal of pressure, but the fact that we hadn't won since 1952 even led to even more pressure probably for this team than the '98 team. And what was important about winning was, one, for our own self-satisfaction as a country, but maybe more importantly, we've worked so hard at our grassroots over the last 10 or 12 years of trying to show and tell people that we are trying to change our ways, and we are trying to make our kids better, and we are trying to make our programs better. And when you lose, people say your programs are no good. So not only does it affect the top team, it goes all the way down to 7-year-old hockey. We needed this as a confidence booster to what our minor hockey system is doing in Canada, and that's what I found to be most important.
It's still our most popular sport in the country. We still have tons of children playing the game.
I said at the time that it was not the story of a team or a person, but the pride of a nation. And it's only today that I realize what a pride of a nation it's all about.
Even in Canada, now, we'll get people to play the sport because of what we accomplish in the Olympics.
You know, now girls have that dream. Well, I want to be in the Olympics. I want to be on the national team, and maybe they can aspire to that. Maybe they won't, but they at least have the opportunity to play the game.
Winning that gold is something that you cherish and something you'll never forget, and you make your country proud.
There's no better feeling in the world than winning a gold medal for your country. Even when I returned to Canada, it took a while for it to sink in what the team had accomplished. The 50-year wait was over. Fans were thanking our team for bringing back honor to the game we created. But even with the pressure of a nation, there was no greater expectation to win than that which you put on yourself.
On behalf of Jerome and I, all our teammates, and the great hockey fans in Canada, thanks for watching. We welcome the opportunity to relive more of the excitement with you in our continuing story, Reflections of Gold.
Look for the rest of the series. Why not collect all 4 DVDs? Enjoy them for years to come.